Hello again. In this short video, we will talk briefly about tools you will be using in this course. So previously, you might have been using, if you have done our course Introduction to Python, you have been using Google Collaboratory, which is a simple tool where you can execute code cells, where you can write simple short instructions in Python. And this tool is really easy to use. I mean, you can just create the code cell and write code. But when you are starting to write more advanced programs, you usually switch to another way of using Python. Basically, you create entire files where you write all of the instructions in one file, and when you want to execute them, you execute the entire file. So you can think about these files, these scripts, like opening a Jupyter notebook and running all of the cells from top to the bottom. So where we will be creating such scripts? Well, we will be doing this in Visual Studio Code. This is a program where you can create such scripts. There are plenty of other programs, and you are free to use other programs as well. We don't require you to use Visual Studio. We just recommend this tool because we will be using this tool. And so we will provide you with additional resources where you can read more about Visual Studio. And here in this video, we will just explain like the most important things which you can do with this tool. So basically, first thing you might want to do is to open a folder where you either have your code already, or maybe an empty folder where you want to create new files. And then here on the left in the Explorer section, you have this folder. As you can see, this is a folder where me and my colleagues, we store all of the examples and all of the Python code you use in your courses. And then you can just open these files which you already have, or maybe if you want to, you can also create a new file in some folder. Files in which you want to write Python code should have extension .py. So this way you inform Visual Studio and other programs that this file is written in Python. So yeah, basically this is Visual Studio, and now let's see a quick example of a script written in Visual Studio. So syntax is the same as it was in Google Collaboratory. So basically, if you, for instance, want to create a function, so let's create a fun function which takes an argument, computes what is this argument plus 10, and then returns this value. So as you can see, the syntax is exactly the same as in Google Collaboratory. Nothing changes here. The only difference is that you don't have like any run button. This is not a code cell. You cannot just execute only this portion of a code. If you want to execute this script, you have to execute the entire script. And how do you do this? Well, if you go to the bottom, you can drag out a terminal, and a terminal is a place where you can run scripts on your machine. You can also open a terminal in a separate window. There is a separate program to open terminal, and very often, usually people do it like this. But for you, if you are just beginning, it might be easier for you to open the terminal through Visual Studio Code. You can also do it in some other way, and it will be actually at the beginning also very convenient to you. If you have the folder here in the Explorer section where is the code you want to run, so for us it's the chapter 2 section, you can use this option and click here open in integrated terminal, and then the terminal is open in the folder which is of interest to you. And then this is the best option because this is the easiest way to run your scripts, because the only thing you have to do is to write Python 3, as you can see here in the terminal section, and then the name of your script. So the name of my script is hello.py. So yeah, if I run this, the script is run. And as you can see, like kind of nothing happened. So you might be wondering if that was correct. Yes, it was, because the only thing we did in our script was to define a function. So if we just define a function, Python creates this function, and then that's all. That's the end of the script. So if you want to use such a function, for instance, in our script, then so let's say we want to store the result of our function in the result variable. Let's say we want to compute what is the result of our function called on argument 4. Then we will have to do it like this. But still, if you want to save it, you can click Command S or Control S depending on your system. But still, if you run this script, you won't see, you will not see anything. Even if we do something like we did in Jupyter Notebooks, if we add just write result here, then still if we run the script, we will not see anything, because what happens is Python executes this code, but differently than it was in Jupyter Notebooks, Python does not by default output something which is at the end of the script or anything like this. If we want to see something in the output here, we have to explicitly ask Python to print this for us. So if we use a function print, then similarly like it was in the notebooks, when you wanted to print something in the middle of the cell, you had to use print. Here, if you want to see something in the output, then you always have to use print function. So here, if I now used print, I can see that the output of my file is 14. You can even see that if I call my function 2 times, for instance on 5 later on, and then now save this script and run it again, then I will have 2 outputs. This 14 is the output from the line 6, and this 15 here is the output from line 9. So this has changed, so we will be using scripts from now on instead of code cells in Jupyter Notebook. But yeah, except that nothing has changed, and you can still write your code in the same manner as before. One final thing which might be of use for you is that if you write just Python 3 in the terminal section, you enter something which is called inline mode, and here you can explore, like if you want to explore some simple thing with your code. For instance, if you want to add 2 numbers together, or if you want to define a variable which will be, let's say, 14, and then do something with this variable. So let's say create new variable m, which is equal to v plus 7. Then you can do stuff like this here. And this works this is more similar to Jupyter notebook code cells. Basically, when I have write a variable here, then I can see already this in the output. So sometimes if we will have very simple examples, we might use also the inline mode to show you something in this video. But usually we will be using scripts. To exit the inline mode, you click on the keyboard Ctrl D or something like this. Sometimes it's Ctrl C or something like this, but Ctrl C, Ctrl D depending on your system. So yeah, this is the short explanation of the tools we will be using. As I said, we will provide you with additional resources to explore this subject even more. It depends on the system, it depends on what you prefer to use, because as I said, you might want to use something else than Visual Studio. So you have flexibility here. You can do whatever you want. That's why we just create this simple explanation video and provide you with additional resources where you can decide the rest and figure out the rest by yourself. And if you have problems with that, don't hesitate, ask in the comments, ask through some other channel or during in-class sessions, and we will try to help you out. And in the next videos, we will already start with exploring the topics of this course, and we will start with advanced functions. So thank you for your attention and see you there.